Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. Okay. So sorry for the delayed start. Um, yeah, so we're back with another Voyager dev stream. Okay, and today we're going to be continuing with our little refactoring for the character systems. Okay. Hope that's better for the camera. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think that's too low. I don't know. So yeah, we're basically. Oh yeah, there's some news. You can already see the difference here. You can see I bought some new like thingies for my headset, for my headphones. They actually arrived in the previous stream. You can see there's a moment where I have to go and receive the package. But yeah, I changed them, and yeah, so now they feel much better. But there's one thing though, and that is that basically they are kinda noise canceling, so I can't really hear myself like I was hearing before. So yeah, I don't hear myself as well as I was hearing me before. So yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like now I'm talking and I don't hear, like I can't hear myself properly. So I don't know, it feels weird, but I don't know, I guess I have to get used to it. I hope I'm not like actually talking louder because of that. I don't think I am, but in any case, let me check my audio really quick. In any case, let me check. All good. Okay, and also I can hear the music a bit louder now because of I don't really hear like the outside noise and stuff. So yeah. Okay, in any case. So in the previous stream, we basically were doing some refactoring mainly for the census system, which yeah, we already had done a little cleanup on this. Well, a lot of cleanup actually, like previously, but there were a couple things missing for like a couple things that I needed to move from here. So yeah, mainly a couple booleans and a couple functions that were not relevant to the actual census class. So now they are where they should be, which is, for example, in the ground detector, we now have this grounded variable, which is going to be set on runtime. It's basically going to be set to true whenever we are grounded and false when we are not. So that's basically what happens. And the same thing here for the ledge grab. Okay. So yeah, basically I had a couple things that I needed to move from, and I needed to do some extra cleanup on the census class. But that's what we did in the previous streams, and now we can continue with the behavior, like with the behavior system for the entities. Okay. Okay. I don't know what happened, but I basically like kicked something, and my second monitor went off for a second, like the screen went black, and then my main monitor did a really weird thing. So I think I accidentally kicked the power supply, I think. I don't know, but yeah. In any case, we can start right now. Like, my idea is that, well, this is my my current task right now, which is just basically work on the astronaut systems So now we are basically going through each one of the systems that compose the not only the astronaut but also the entities, any entity in the game. So yeah, basically, oh man, it's really weird. I don't really like not hearing myself when I talk. It's really weird. So I could just turn on the direct monitor here, I believe. Let me see if I can. Yeah, but if I do that, I can't really hear. I don't know, it's really weird. Huh. Not great. Yeah, I don't know. It's really weird. In any case, does that affect anything if I do that? No, I think you can hear everything the same way, but I'm trying to use the monitor in the audio interface to hear myself here in my own headphones. I think I can do... Give me one moment. Minifuse Control Center. No, thank you. Input, output. So here, I think I can just change this and hear it. But I am... Oh yeah, this. So if I don't mute this... Hello. Oh, let me see if you're actually hearing that. I don't think you are. Because that way you would be hearing me double. That way you would be hearing me double. Yeah, I don't think you are. Well, actually, this is not really that useful because it's really not that loud. Yeah, I think I would like hearing from maybe from OBS. Let me see. Okay, let me first clean up some memory here. Okay, and then close this. And let me go here into advanced audio properties. Then mic. Yeah, this one is the... So monitor and output. Okay, yeah. I think it's really weird to hear myself here in the... Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so I might need to just get used to this, unless I figure out, or I get another like set of headphones, or I don't know. For now, I think it's fine. It's just fine for now. I will get used to it at some point. So yeah, I was saying, okay, back to the Voyager thing. I was saying, basically here, what I'm doing is, what we are doing currently is just going through each one of the systems for the entities and the astronaut, so that I'm basically refactoring and seeing where I can improve them and make them more modular, and remove dependencies and stuff like that, so that like at least all of the core systems work for every entity in the game. So for example, here in the entity prefab, we have a set of systems which are the core systems. Okay, I could also just rename these to core systems, maybe, I don't know. In any case, here under entity, which entity is just for, like I said, this is a base prefab that will be used as the foundation of every other entity in the game, not only the astronaut, but also enemies and NPCs and whatever thing that exists. So they will have a behavior system, which is basically a state machine that just defines which state the entity is in at the moment. Then we have the senses class, which manages basically just whatever thing that has to do with the rigid body, the physics, the velocity, the forces, the which direction the entity is facing, and then it serves as a center point to accessing any of the detectors, such as, for example, in this case, the base entity doesn't have a ground detector like the astronaut has, because I don't know if every entity is going to be grounded. Well, I know that not every entity is going to be grounded or ground-based for the navigation. So the astronaut is, because it's grounded, it has to travel like a humanoid, and it's going to be like traversing and navigating through the ground, running, jumping, whatever. So that's basically a grounded entity. So I don't know if there's another term for that, but in any case, just going to refer to that as grounded entities. But then there could be, for example, enemies or other kinds of entities that don't use the ground detector at all, because they only need to fly, for example, because imagine like I don't know, a bat, you know, they are just flying, they don't care about the ground, or well, whatever thing, they just need to for example, they could only need to detect walls or ceilings, for example, or in I think this is a better example. The astronaut has the ledge detector, okay, which is this box that also casts some rays. It does some ray casting to detect ledges, okay, and then define and determine when the astronaut is grabbed onto a ledge or not, so that the astronaut can grab that ledge and climb. So something I've been using as an example of why not every entity needs to have all of the same components, and this is one of the examples of that. So flying, for example, flying enemies, or maybe just enemies that will not have, sorry, I'm terrible today, but entities that will not have the mobility or the ability to do ledge grabbing or climbing, they are just not going to be using this component at all. So I don't need to be like adding this to those entities. So that's why the base prefab, which is the entity prefab, is only going to contain the core systems that will be shared among all of the entities, okay? So while I'm refactoring the systems and everything to make them work for the astronaut, I'm also trying to make them also modular and as abstract as possible, so that they only contain the logic and functionality for any kind of entity, okay? So right now we are basically trying to think about astronautu. We're basically trying to think about how the behavior, like the state machine, should be like. Well, I'm not actually trying to refactor the state machine itself, because that's fine actually. What I'm trying to structure in a better way is basically the states themselves. So I think for that I'm going to be doing I have this thing that I did in the previous stream, and I basically was like I don't know, having a really hard time figuring out how to create things here, and I think I'm going to spend a lot of time on this unnecessarily when I can just go into Leonardo. This is sketching up, and I can just draw things here. So I can just say, okay, this is one thing, and then it goes there, and whatever. So I am just going to be using this to lay out the actual structure, and I need to use this as my way of like organizing the structure in my head and understanding what I need and how I need to place everything where it needs to. So that's what I'm going to be doing right now. So for that, of course I need to define a couple things. Okay, so basically one of the things I need to define is, which I kinda already defined, is like which contexts can the astronaut be in. So that's basically the three things I've defined here. Okay, and basically this is kind of like a really, because this is not a state, like the structure is like a tree, it's like a state tree, and you're going to understand why in a second when I start actually explaining. But yeah, so let me just go here. I'm gonna grab my tablet, which I haven't been using for I don't know how many months now. In any case, also, you know what, I think that I should I think I have already a Leonardo file for this. Let me just check that really quick. And also let me see if this is fine. Yeah, this should be only my first monitor. Okay, that's perfect. Now let me go here. Okay, not that. Need this. Where is the documentation? Okay. Entity behavior. Okay. So as you can see, I already have some kind of thing like file that describes how this works. So kind of how this works, but this is actually not like well, it's kind of the same. So you can see that this is basically how I structured the entity. So you can see entity, it has senses. Okay, it has senses, it has the input, it has the Neptosmic, it has stats too, and it also has the entity behavior, which should be here, but whatever. So now the entity behavior is basically the state machine. Okay, so this is the state machine, and this has access to the entity. Okay, and this is the state machine. So this is pretty badly like explained, and I'm going to whatever scrap this, and then you can see here entity behavior. This is what controls the states, and then the states they have access to the behavior and then the entity, and then the states, each state has also, well, this entity specific states, okay, and then I have specific parameters. So yeah, I don't know, this is something I did, I don't know how much time, I don't know, let me just check the actual file properties, but it says, yeah, July 18, 2022. So that's when I created this file and did all of this thing, which like it's like, I'm going to remove this because whatever. It's kind of accurate to what it actually is, but you know what, I'm just going to remove that file because it's not doing anything, and I'm going to start a new file and start again from this. So yeah, this is basically the let's call it state tree structure. Now, this would be much faster if I could just type that in an actual text field, but I don't really have text field here because this app doesn't have text for whatever reason. But in any case, what happens here? So the state tree structure is basically the thing that defines like how the states correlate and communicate with like each other. And so, for example, now again, I always mention this. So I'm not, of course, a software engineer. You can actually just already see that, but this is something that I never like studied and or anything. So this is kind of new to me to study this this way. So I'm just going through this my own way, and I'm trying to find and learn everything. So yeah, I'm doing a bad way of explaining this, but I don't know. So yeah, I'm just going to try to just lay down what I think the structure should be for the states, at least in the astronaut. So, and then I can just start thinking about the relationship between the states and everything. So, before I said that, like a moment ago, I mentioned that I need to define something which is basically the like the which contexts, like all of the contexts where the entity can be in. So what the hell do I mean by that? So that's basically, in the case of the astronaut, the contexts are basically grounded, okay, just grounded. I'm gonna try to do this, whatever. So we have grounded. We also have airborne. Okay, that's another state, not a state. That's basically, I call it context. I don't really know what the technical term would be for this, but for now I'm just going to call it context, okay? So those are the two main contexts, okay? And why am I separating this? That's because from here I can basically just start defining which states belong to each one of the contexts. So this is something that I already did, and that's already in the system, that's already coded. But basically, from here we have the idle state, okay. So from grounded, we have the idle state, okay? And then, like, from the idle state, we can transition into, well, actually, like, the way I'm drawing, like, laying down this diagram, it doesn't make sense for me to just from here go walk, because the way I'm laying down this diagram is that it's kind of like a hierarchy. Is that the correct way? So this is kind of a hierarchy, basically, where grounded would be the top part of the hierarchy of the tree. Like, this is a tree. Grounded is basically the top part, and then idle inherits from grounded and will have all of the same properties, or we could also say that will be controlled by grounded, okay? Because here is where all of the checkings should happen, like all of the checking to see if we are actually being like grounded or not, to see what input we're pressing, to see if we can run or not, to see if we can jump or not. So yeah, and that's where I'm. There's a couple of things that I don't have really clear how I should structure in the code, and I guess like it's not really a big deal if I don't do this in the most optimal way, but I want to try to get to the most optimal way, and I want to learn, of course. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So basically, grounded will have a number of other states. So yeah, I kind of need to just move this away. So basically we have, like I said, we have idle, and just going to move this, okay, a bit lower, just because I can, okay. I'm going to do this, but I not only have the idle state under grounded, but also we have run, okay. So we have run, okay. We have, well, actually, you know what? I think I could just start like listing all of the states. For example, I have run, I have jump. Oh, I have a really tiny selection there. So I have jump. Okay. What else do I have? I have crouch. Okay. What else? I have shoot or attack. We could say, we'll just generalize for now the attack state into one thing. Okay. For now. What else do we have? So we have run, jump, crouch, attack. We also have fall. Okay, we have fall. What else? We have jetpack. We have jetpacking. That's how I called the state. So yeah, what else do I have? Well, I have the ledge grab. It's really terrible writing. Doesn't matter. I also have ledge climb. Which we could analyze if ledge climb is actually part of the same ledge grab state, which actually I don't think it is. And actually I could like fragment this state even more, like the current, how it currently is. I could actually just split it into another state, into two more states, but I will get into that later. So basically, what am I doing here? I'm trying to just move around things. Okay, so not move around. I'm trying to lay down all of the states and trying to understand where they belong. Okay, so jump and fall belong to the airborne contexts. Also does jetpacking. Okay, but as you can see, crouch belongs to grounded. Attack, well, this is a tricky one because attack could belong to grounded but also to airborne and also to other things, but those would be like different types of attacks. Okay, so we could have a grounded attack. Okay, we could have a jumping attack, which would be like technically an airborne attack. Then we can have a crouch attack, so we can attack while we're crouching. So yeah, attack is kind of like a really general way of describing this state, but we would have different states for attacking. So for now, I'm just going to give this one away and remove that for now, or just move it away in any case. Okay, and then we have the ledge thing, which what I did was define a new context, which is the climbed context. So now we not only have the grounded state and the airborne, sorry, not state, we not only have the grounded context and the airborne context, we also have the climbed context. Okay, so basically ledge grab and ledge climb belong to climbed context. Okay, so that's basically how it works. That's basically how I structured the actual states. Okay, so what am I actually doing with all this? That's a good question. Basically what this is but basically what I'm doing is, like I've been saying, I'm trying to structure this into something that helps me understand how I should actually code the relationship between the states and all of the conditions for like, what's the word, like transitioning between each state. So right now I know that these three states belong to airborne, okay? And I also know that climbed has the ledge grab and also has the ledge climb, okay? So that's another thing. That's not what I wanted to do. So, for example, now we have this, okay? Which is great. So now, that triggers me so bad, okay. So this basically helps me understand like that, for example, when we talk about grounded states, we talk about, like I've been explaining, the run state, the idle state, the crouch state, and this helps like group as like a number of states under the same context, so that a lot of the logic can be like compressed into just one of the states, which in the code, like under the hood, grounded is a state because it inherits from state, because the state machine will enter one of these, like it will enter run, or it will enter idle, or it will enter crouch. And in essence, the state machine will be entering grounded too, because crouch belongs, like inherits from grounded, and also idle. So whatever code that's running in the grounded state is going to run in also in every one and each one of these other states. So that's really good, because in the previous, well, it was not in the previous stream, but it was in the stream before the previous one. I was showing that there was a lot of places that I was repeating so much code. So for example, in the case of the attack button, well, not only for the attack, but for jumping, for example, if I wanted to transition into the jump state, I need to have a reference to that state, okay? So that I can say, okay, so now I pressed the jump key, okay? So I press the jump key and then I transition to this state, okay? Now, for that to happen, I had to, like I said, I needed a reference to the jump state in the idle state, so that I could say machine dot transition, and then jump. Okay, so that's what I'm doing actually now. That's how I transition into other states in the machine. So that would be called from the idle state whenever I press the jump button. Okay, so now I not only can transition to the jump state from the idle state, I can also jump while I'm running. So that means I also need a reference to the jump state in the run state too. So what that means, I'm that means that I end up creating a reference to the same state in two different places, where when in reality I could be doing that in just one place, and that place is the grounded class. Okay. So now grounded has a reference to the jump state, and whenever I need to transition from the idle into the jump state, I just need to say, like, I don't need to create a new field, a new reference in each one of those states, because the reference is already there. I already have the reference here in the grounded state. So that's one of the things that I already did some cleanup on that, so I can show you in the actual code. If I go into, for example, astronaut grounded, you can see that this class inherits from entity state, okay? And like, well, actually I don't have the reference here. That's like the jump state is not here yet, because I didn't actually do the whole like refactorization for this. But I did move, for example, the fall state here into the grounded class, so that for example, in the idle state, I do have a reference to the fall state in the case that I need to do something with this here. But there's another, like, there's a specific example that I actually did in the previous stream, which was moving this thing. So the ground detector was previously, I had a reference in the idle state and also in the run state. Okay. So so that meant that basically I had to run, like, for example, this code and also this code. I needed to have that in the idle state and also in the run state. So that's a lot of repeated code that doesn't make any sense. So one way of cleaning that up is to move that into the grounded state, since the idle state inherits from the grounded state, and also the run state also inherits from that. So so now I have this reference here, and I'm getting the actual reference when I need to, whenever I enter the state. Okay, and this enter is going to be called whenever I enter any of these states, because they, again, they inherit from grounded. And then, for example, the ground check to see if I am grounded or not is happening in the actual grounded state, which is great, because that's the place that they should be getting checked. Okay, so that's great. Then, for example, the fall, the transition to the fall state is happening also here in the grounded state. So whenever we are not grounded, we transition into the fall state, and that's it. Okay. So that's one thing. Okay. Now there's a number of other things that I need to still, like, improve, and one of them, you might already, like, have seen this, but take a look at this. This is the idle state, and now look at this. I basically have these three references, like states, are the same in both of them. I'm basically repeating a lot of, like, references in code in both states, when I could be doing this in the grounded state. Okay, and I should be doing that there. Well, like, it's good practice, and it's going to be a lot more scalable, because imagine if I add another, like, right now I only have idle and run, but imagine if I were to add like a walk state. So that's something I don't have. Well, that means that I would need to just grab this, like have the same references there, and also I would need a reference to the run and walk state here, and also here I would need to have a reference to the walk state, because from run you can go into the walk, and vice versa. From the walk state you could go into the idle and also into the run state. So yeah, this is not great, of course. So what I can basically do is just remove this, okay, and remove this, okay, then go here and say astronaut idle, and then I have the reference here. So now here I don't have the error for whenever I am checking to go back to the idle state here. So here what I'm doing is I'm checking if the entity, the astronaut, is not moving at all, like the speed is below this value, and also I'm checking if I'm not pressing any input. So that what I do there is just stop it and just transition into the idle state. Okay, that's what I'm doing basically. And this is in the run state. So now I need to fix this. So now I don't have the jump reference and the crouch reference and the shoot reference. So now I need to add them here. Okay, so I can just go and say public astronaut run. I also need the run. I don't know what I typed there, but whatever. So I also need the run state here. What else do I need? I need the jump state. Okay. Perfect. Then what else do I need? What else do I need? So I need, what I need here is the crouch reference. Okay. So okay, we have the crouch too, and then we need the shoot state. Okay. So you can go here and say public astronaut shoot. Okay, and that should basically just fix this should basically just be enough to fix the issues here. Okay, that's basically enough, and now I can go ahead and test, and it would work right away. Okay, now of course I need to go here and see, because you can see here I have another like reference to the idle state, which I don't really need anymore. For example, in the shoot state I also have a repeated thing. Okay, so yeah, then what else I'm trying to think. I think I might have a couple errors now somewhere, so let me just go ahead and try to fix them really quick. But what I'm trying to do right now is just trying to think about about the actual logic that needs to happen in order to transition to to each one of the states. And yeah, it's of course it's not easy. It's not something easy, and it's not something intuitive. So okay. So yeah, I'm trying to check now, like each one of the states to see, like, for example, now you can see that in the case of the idle state, we can see that there is a reference to itself. You can see, and that's a bit weird. So yeah, I think this is the like, the structure is good, but I'm trying to think, like, if this makes sense to have those references there. I think it does. Like, it's fine for this to have those references there, even though you can see that like idle has like a reference to idle too, which is weird in a sense. So yeah, I'm trying to think now, like, because maybe I also need another thing to separate the actual grounded logic from the actual references. Not sure, actually. So yeah, for example, like the thing that's like putting me off right now is this. Like, it's weird to have a reference of, like, here of idle in the actual idle thing. I guess maybe that's not too bad. Yeah, I think it's, because I could go even more like granular with the abstract states. So grounded is an abstract state that then all of this inherits from. But then I could go into other, like for example, create a new like middle point called, for example, astronaut navigation. And inside that one, there I would only have the idle state reference, and then idle would be like its own thing, its own context. I'm trying to think about that right now. It's kind of tricky, but just to explain a bit further what I'm trying to say. So here, so yeah, it's a bit like, it's not great to it's not faster to do it this way, actually, because yeah, I don't know. In any case, what I'm trying to think here is, should, for example, run be like, should run be under another, yeah, I actually think it should. So let me just go here, and for example, run should be under another context called navigation or navigating. So okay. Okay, so this makes sense now, but I'm kind of like so yeah, this should go here, and then this should go like run should be there. Sorry, I have a sneeze and it's not coming out. Oh man, it's really bad. So, it's really funny because every time I start like doing some heavy thinking and everything, this particular song is playing all the time. It's really funny. But yeah, like the actual structure I think should be like this, but even then it feels weird because navigating, like it's like here when I'm jetpacking, I'm also navigating, so that's the weird thing. It's like this this design, like this type of diagram doesn't work for this. It's like navigating is its own thing or something like that. So yeah, I actually should just do some research about this because I never actually like read anything about this kind of system or behavior tree or anything. It's like I have some knowledge, but to a certain point it's like really basic. So so I actually should start doing some research on this to understand a bit more like how each part of the states and the logic should be structured. Like I think this is something I can I can get to that by myself by thinking about it and through iteration, of course. If I try doing this and that and like I think I can get to like the proper implementation for this, but I kind of feel I don't really feel like it's a good thing to do on stream, like me iterating and trying to understand this, because when I'm streaming, I'm trying to do things while explaining them. So I'm usually, when I'm streaming, I'm usually working on stuff that I understand like in a proper way. So yeah, it feels weird to me to be working on this and to be trying to understand and trying to do so. Maybe it's something for me to work on while I'm off stream. So yeah, I think that makes actually sense. So then when I actually have a good idea and I understand and everything, I can just actually implement it and explain it. That's my idea. Like this is also part of the process. I'm actually learning too. Like it's not that I know everything and I'm just doing the game, like making the game. um, I'm of course like learning a lot of things. I do know like a fair bit of game dev, because I developed like so many games, but there are some like more advanced things that you only get to know when you actually study properly, like academically, or if you actually read about those things and yeah, properly study. And I actually didn't study like, I would say 70% of what I know. I actually learned by just doing things, and yeah, so that's how I will be learning this, but I don't really feel comfortable streaming that process because it's really, I don't know, I feel like it's a really boring thing to do. So yeah, I don't know if you feel like it's something fun to watch, like me trying to understand this and learning and doing some iterations and stuff. If you feel like this is something fun to watch, just let me know in the comments. Just yeah, drop me a comment about that. But I don't really think this is something fun to watch because it's like 50% of the time it's just me like quiet and just thinking and not saying a word. So maybe that, I don't know. But I also try to like exteriorize my thoughts and what I'm thinking right now, and like my thought process. And that could be interesting to some people, so maybe if you find that interesting, just let me know. But yeah, in any case, the actual stream is coming to an end soon because I don't really have much time. So I think I will be leaving this here for now. I kind of wanted to lay down this because this actually helped me. It's helped me understand a couple of things, but I don't really have a lot of time today to keep going on this. So I might just continue trying to learn about this and understand this better when I have the time off stream, and then maybe next stream I will start actually working on this with the proper understanding and with the proper structure and with everything, so then I can actually explain what I'm doing and how it works and everything by having the actual knowledge of this. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's going to be the stream. Okay, I hope that makes sense, and I hope that's fine for you. So yeah. Okay. I hope this was not a boring stream. In any case, yeah, I'm actually today I'm pretty tired, and I wasn't really feeling like streaming today. I don't know. There are some days where it's really hard to concentrate, and even more knowing that I'm also like I'm like every time I stream after my work day. So yeah, my brain is pretty tired at that point. Yeah, in any case, that's going to be the stream for today. I hope this was somewhat useful to understand, like at least the basic part of how the states work and everything, because I think I already explained that, and that's the part that I understand. But then there are like some deeper aspects of how this works and whenever you start like adding layers to the system and to the states and to the behavior of the character, it starts getting more and more complex. So yeah. In any case, that's going to be the stream for today. Thank you very much for watching. Join the Discord if you want to get notified when I go live. And also if you want to share stuff there, if you want to share some art, if you want to share some anything game you're making, or if you want to get some feedback from me or from the community there. So yeah. Other than that, if you're watching from YouTube, consider subscribing. That will help my channel a lot. And that's gonna be it for today, okay? So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next stream.